The pound of flesh that I demand of him is dearly bought. It's mine, and I shall have it, is the most intensely dramatic line of the trial scene of Merchant of Venice. The rich Venetian merchant, Antonio, is completely helpless due to his inability to pay his debts of 3,000 ducats to his arch enemy Shylock, and stands before mercy at the court of law. Shylock, the heartless villain, is bent upon exacting his penalty in the form of a pound of flesh, but the cruel villain does not relent in the least, and even refuse 3 times the money due to him. Portia, the clever heiress of Belmont, who comes in disguise in place of Valerio, tries to persuade Shylock to show mercy. Portia outwits Shylock and turns the table on Shylock, and he falls into his own trap of malice which he had laid for Antonio. But unlike Shylock, Antonio shows his mercy in the end, and thus Shylock departs the court utterly humiliated and totally devastated. Thus, right is justified in the fullest measure, and intellect defeats the evil intentions. We present before you the highly popular trial scene of Merchant of Venice.
Well, is Antonio here?
Ready. At your pleasure, your grace.
I'm sorry for you. You have come to answer a stony adversary, an inhuman wretch, incapable of pity and devoid of any dram of mercy.
I've heard that your grace has taken great pains to dissuade him from his rigorous course. But as he is obstinate, no lawful means can carry me out of his malice. I shall meet his anger with patience. I'm armed to suffer his merciless rage and tyranny.
Go, one of you, and call the Jew into the court.
He is ready at the door. Here he comes, my lord.
Make a way for him, and let him stand before me. Shylock, everyone thinks, and I think so too, that you intend to keep on this revengeful act till the last minute. And then it's thought you will suddenly show your mercy and remorse even more strikingly than you have shown your strange cruelty. As you are now demanding the penalty, a pound of this poor merchant's flesh, you will waive that penalty and, touched with human gentleness and love, forgo a part of the debt. We all expect a gentle answer, Jew.
I have told your grace what my intentions are. I have sworn by a holy Sabbath to get the full penalty for failure to pay the bond. If you deny me, you will be undermining your city's constitution and the rule of law. You will ask me why I would rather have a measure of human flesh than receive 3,000 ducats. Well, it's my pleasure. Is that good enough? What if my house were plagued by a rat and it suited me to pay 10,000 ducats to have it poisoned? Well, have you got your answer? There are some men who do not like the sight of a gaping pig's head, some who go mad if they see a cat, and others who can't control their emotions when they hear the nasal whine of the bagpipes. That's because our likes and dislikes govern our emotions. And now for your answer. Just as there is no good explanation for one's personal liking, I can't give an answer either. Nor do I want to, apart from a solid hatred and loathing that I have for Antonio. That makes me pursue this money-losing case against him. Have you got your answer?
This is no excuse for your cruelty, you callous man.
I am not bound to please you with my answers.
Do all men kill the things they do not like?
Wouldn't every man just love to kill the things he doesn't like?
Not every offense causes hatred in the first instance.
What? Would you allow us open to sing you twice?
Please, don't forget, you're arguing with the Jew. You may make the impossible possible. You may as well do any hard thing rather than try and soften the hardest, his Jewish heart. So I beg you not to try anything else or use any further means, but let me have the judgment and the Jew his will as soon as possible.
For your 3,000 ducats, here is 6.
If every ducat in that 6,000 ducats were in 6 parts and each part a ducat, I would still not accept the offer. I want my bond!
How can you hope for mercy, not giving any yourself?
What judgment should I fear when I have not done anything wrong? You Christian people have bought many slaves. You treat them like your asses and mules, burden them in slavish tasks. Now, if I ask you to free them, make their beds as soft as yours, or their palates be seasoned with wines, will you do that? No, never. You will reply that the slaves are your property. That's just what I reply to you. The pound of flesh that I demand of him is dearly bought. 'Tis mine. 'Tis mine, and I am going to have it. If you deny me, then fire upon your law. It will mean that the laws of Venice have no force. I stand for justice. Answer, will I have it?
Silence. Upon my father, I may dismiss this court. But I have sent for Dr. Bellario, a learned lawyer, to resolve this case. He's due here today.
My lord, there is a messenger waiting outside, just arrived from Padua, with letters from the doctor.
Bring me the letters. Call the messenger in.
Cheer up, Antonio. Be brave. I shall have the Jew all my blood, flesh and bones before letting you lose one drop of blood for me.
I am the runt of the flock. I am the most vulnerable. The weakest root drops earliest to the ground, and so will I. The best thing you can do, Bassanio, is stay alive and write my epitaph.
Have you come from Padua? From Bellario?
From both, my lord. Bellario sends his compliments to your grace.
Why are you sharpening your knife so earnestly?
To cut the forfeiture from that bankrupt there.
It's not on your sole of your shoe, but on the mortal soul that you're sharpening your knife, cruel Jew. No metal, not even the hangman's axe is half as sharp as your envy. Can no prayers move you?
No, none that you're intelligent enough to make.
Oh, rot in hell, you heartless dog! Justice is the culprit for allowing you to live. Your motives are wolfish, bloody, mean and ravenous.
You are only hurting your lungs with that shout. Do something about your brains, young man, or they'll fall apart in ruins. I am standing firm on the law.
This letter from Bellario recommends a young and learned lawyer to the court. Where is he?
He's waiting nearby to know your answer, to hear whether you'll admit him or not.
With all my heart. 3 or 4 of you go and escort him here with all due courtesy. In the meantime, the court shall hear Bellario's letter.
Your grace should know that at the time of receiving your letter, I was very sick. But it so happened that when your messenger arrived, a young lawyer from Rome was visiting me. His name is Balthazar. I told him about the dispute between the Jew and the merchant, Antonio. We consulted several books together. He knows my opinion, improved by his own learning, which I cannot praise enough. He brings that with him as he takes my place at my request. I beg you not to judge him incapable on account of his youth, because I never knew such an old head on so young a body. I hope you will accept him. His performance will commend him more than my words can.
You hear what the learned Bellario writes, and here, I take it, is the doctor himself. You have come from old Bellario?
I have, my lord.
You are welcome. Take your place.
Thank you, your lord.
Are you acquainted with the dispute that occupies this court today?
I am fully briefed on the case. Which is the merchant and which the Jew?
Antonio and old Shylock, both come forward.
Is your name Shylock?
Shylock is my name.
Your suit is an unusual one, but it stands up legally, and Venetian law can't challenge its validity. You are in some danger from the suit office, aren't you?
Yes, that's what he claims.
Do you admit to this debt?
I do.
Then the Jew will have to be merciful.
On whose authority must I? Tell me that.
Mercy is a blessing that should come freely. It is an attribute of God Himself. Earthly power most closely resembles God's power when justice is guided by mercy. Therefore, Jew, although justice is your aim, think about this. None of us would be saved if we depended on justice alone. We pray for mercy, and in seeking it ourselves, we learn to be merciful. I have spoken about this to soften the justice of your plea. If you insist on pure justice, however, then this serious Venetian court has no alternative other than to pronounce sentence against the merchant there.
I'll take the responsibility for my deeds. I'm insisting on the law. That's the penalty and forfeit of my bond.
Is he unable to pay you the money?
Yes, he can pay. I am offering it to him here in the court. Indeed, twice the sum. If I fail to, I forfeit my hands, my head, my heart. If that's not enough, then the spirit of malice is working against the truth. It's pure malice that's hiding the truth. I beg of you, use your authority to bend the law. Do a small wrong to bring about a great right and prevent this cruel devil from having his way.
It can't be done. There's no power in Venice that can alter an established law. It would create a precedent and will give rise to many other irregularities in the court. It's impossible.
Ha! A Daniel come to judgment. Yes, a Daniel. Oh, wise young judge, how I honor you.
Please, let me see the bond.
Here it is, most reverend doctor. Here it is.
Shylock, there's 3 times the money offered.
My oath, my oath. I have sworn an oath before heaven. Do you want me to burden my soul with oath breaking? No, not for the whole of Venice.
This bond is valid. Accordingly, the Jew may lawfully claim a pound of flesh to be cut by him nearest the merchant's heart. Be merciful. Take 3 times the money. Tell me to tear the bond up.
When it's paid according to its terms. You appear to be a good judge. You know the law. Your interpretation has been very sound. In the name of law, of which you are a well-deserving pillar, I ask you to proceed to judgment. I swear by my soul, no man has the power of speech enough to make me change my mind. I stand by the legality of my bond.
I heartily wish the court to give its judgment.
Well then, this is it. You must prepare your breast for his knife.
O noble judge! O excellent young man!
The intention and purpose of the law is to honor the penalty, which according to this bond seems due.
That's very true. O wise and upright judge! How much more experienced you are than you look.
Therefore, uncover your breast.
Yes, his breasts. That's what the bond says, doesn't it, noble judge? Nearest his heart. Those are the very words.
That's so. Are there scales here to weigh the flesh?
I have them here.
Have a doctor standing by Shylock at your expense to stop his wounds in case he bleeds to death.
Does it say that in the bond?
It is not detailed, but what of that? You'd naturally do that out of charity.
I can't find it. It's not in the bond.
You, merchant, have you anything to say?
Very little. I'm fortified and mentally prepared. Give me your hand, Bassanio. Farewell. Don't grieve that I have fallen to this state for your sake. Remember me to your dear wife. Tell her the story of Antonio's death. Tell her how much I loved you. Speak well of me. And when the tale has been told, ask her to judge whether Bassanio was once dearly loved. Regret only that you will lose your friend, while he doesn't regret that he paid your debt. If the Jew cuts deeply enough, I'll pay it immediately with all my heart.
Antonio, I am married to a woman who's as dear to me as life itself. But I don't value life, my wife, and all the world more than I do your life. I would give them all, yes, sacrifice them all, right here and now, to this devil, to save you.
Your wife wouldn't thank you much for that if she were here to hear you make that offer.
Oh, this is taking too long. Please proceed to judgment.
I have a wife whom I swear I love. I wish she were in heaven so she could plead with some higher power to change this cursed Jew's mind.
It's a good thing you're offering that behind her back. Otherwise, you would have an unsettled household.
We are wasting time. The sentence, please.
A pound of that merchant's flesh is yours. The court awards it, and the law allows it.
Most rightful judge.
And you must cut this flesh from his breast. The law allows it, and the court awards it.
Most learned judge, a sentence. Come, prepare.
One moment! There is something else. This bond does not allow you a drop of blood. The bonds expressed are a pound of flesh. But if, in cutting it, you shed one drop of Christian blood, under the laws of Venice, your lands and goods are subject to confiscation to the state of Venice.
Oh, upright judge! Did you hear that, Jew? Oh, learned judge!
Is that the law?
You can see the act for yourself. As you urge justice so strongly, be assured that you will have more justice than you want.
Oh, learned judge! Look at that, Jew! Oh, learned judge!
I'll take this offer then. Pay 3 times the bond and let the Christian go.
Here's the money.
Not so fast. The Jew will have full justice. Wait, not so fast. He will have nothing but the penalty.
O Jew, an upright judge, a worthy judge.
And so prepare to cut off the flesh. Shed no blood, and be cautious to cut off no more and no less than just a pound of flesh. If you take more or less than just a pound, even if it's as much as to make it lighter or heavier by the 20th of a fraction. Yes, if the scale turns as much as the weight of a hair, you die, and all your property is confiscated.
Second Daniel, Daniel, Jew, ha! infidel, I've got you squirming.
Why is the Jew hesitating? Take your poppet.
Give me my capital and let me go.
I have it ready. Here it is.
He has refused it in open court. He will have only justice according to his contract.
I say again, a Daniel, a second Daniel. Thank you, Jew, for teaching me that word.
Am I not to have at least my capital?
You'll have nothing but the penalty to be taken at your peril, Jew.
Well then, may the devil give him the benefit of it. I won't stay and argue this any longer.
Wait, Jew. The law has another hold over you. It is stated in the Venetian law that if it should be proved against a foreigner that he has, by direct or indirect efforts, sought the life of any citizen, the person against which he has conspired is entitled to seize one half of his goods, the other half going to the state coffers. Furthermore, whether the offender lives or dies becomes the subject of the Duke's sole discretion. I say that you fit into that category. It's clear that both directly and indirectly you have plotted against the life of the defendant, and you have therefore incurred the penalty I have described. Kneel and beg the Duke for mercy.
Beg for permission to hang yourself. But, of course, your property being forfeited to the state, you haven't got enough money left to buy a rope, so you'll have to be hanged at the state's expense.
To demonstrate the difference in our outlooks, I pardon your life before you ask for it. Regarding half your wealth, it goes to Antonio. The other half goes to the state.
Just take my life as well. When you take my house, you take the means of maintaining it. You take my life when you take away the means whereby I live.
What mercy can you give him, Antonio?
A rope for free. Nothing else, for God's sake.
If it pleases my lord the Duke and the court to waive the fine for one half of his wealth, I will be content, provided that I may have the use of the other half during his lifetime, and that I can then give it on his death to the gentleman who recently eloped with his daughter. There are two more conditions: that in return for this present favor, he immediately become a Christian. The other, that he make a will, here and now in this court, leaving everything he owns at the time of his death to his son Lorenzo and his daughter.
He will do this, or I'll withdraw the pardon that I have just pronounced.
Are you satisfied, Jew? What do you say?
I am content.
Clerk, draw up a will.
I beg of you, give me permission to go. I am not well. Send the will after me, and I will sign it.
Go then, but make sure you do it.
When ye christened, you'll have 2 godfathers. If I had been the judge, you would have had 10 more, to take you to the gallows, not to the font.
The court is adjourned.
A Pound of Flesh is a presentation by the students of Stuart School, Cuttack. The enactment is scripted and directed by Mrs. Sushmita Das. Voice over: Divyam Dipankar Dhal as Shylock, Bhaivav Ganatra as Bassanio, Raghav Chaudhary as Antonio, and Kripali Mishra as Portia.